No one wants to live in the richest country in the world. Ireland, which was a very poor country in Europe a few years ago, is now richer than the United States, the UK, Kuwait, and even Qatar. But 70% of the population of Ireland no longer wants to live in Ireland. To find out why the citizens of the richest country in the world do not want to live in it, we must first know how Ireland became so rich. Just 150 years ago, the conditions in Ireland were such that mothers would beg in the streets for a few pieces of bread with their hungry children to their chests. Poverty, hunger, despair, and death were everywhere. The Great Famine, also known as the Great Famine, took the lives of 1 million people between 1845 and 1852. 11% of the population of Ireland died as a result of this famine. It was such a big disaster that to this day the population of Ireland has not recovered. That is why Ireland is the only country in Europe and the world whose current population is much lower than the population of 1840. Ireland became independent from the control of the British Empire in 1922, but its situation did not change much for the next 50 years. Then in 1973, Ireland became a member of the European Economic Community, and here Ireland saw an opportunity to change its situation. Basically, being a member of this community meant that you could sell your goods to all the member countries and you would only have to pay taxes in one country. The leadership of Ireland thought, why not take advantage of this law? Ireland made an allowance that companies coming to Europe for business could set up their offices in Ireland and they would be charged very low taxes. On the contrary, the government would give them subsidies and land for offices would also be given at a very cheap price. After this announcement, big companies moved their headquarters to Ireland. Offices and operations began to shift to Ireland. Many companies like Dell, Microsoft, Intel, and others began to shift to Ireland to avoid high tax rates. Tax-free policies, business-friendly environment, and strong law and order situation led to a lot of foreign investment in Ireland. So much so that in just 10 years, between 1990 and 2000, foreign investment in Ireland went from 2.2% to 49.2%. Salaries were high, people's purchasing power increased, people spent money, demand was created, and economic activity increased. Ireland's economy was now growing faster than Singapore and South Korea, and it was called the Celtic Tiger. The 2008 financial crisis also affected Ireland, but Ireland responded by reducing the tax rate to zero. Then, as the Irish lottery came out, Google and tech giants like Facebook have also shifted their headquarters to Ireland to maximize profitability. Highly qualified people from all over the world were coming to Ireland for jobs, and Ireland had become the Silicon Valley of Europe. But what happened then that today 70% of young people between the ages of 18 and 24 know how to leave Ireland permanently? There are three reasons for this. The first reason is that Ireland is not as rich in real estate as its GDP makes it seem. GDP per capita is actually an indicator of the economic success of any country. If we look at Ireland's GDP per capita, it is indeed the highest in the world. But if we look at some other statistics of Ireland, a different picture emerges. For example, if we look at Ireland's annual average salary, it is lower than all the Scandinavian countries. Salaries in the Netherlands are on par with countries like Belgium and Austria, even though the GDP of these countries is not even half that of Ireland. Similarly, if we look at the data on household disposable income, it shows in terms of how much income the average person saves, Ireland is also ranked 17th in the world. This means that Ireland's stats do not match up. According to GDP, Ireland is very rich, but when it comes to the standard of living of the people, Ireland is very low. The reason is that Ireland's GDP is artificially inflated because all the economic activity generated here is due to companies that ultimately take all their profits out of Ireland. Similarly, these companies employ mostly foreign workers. In all the big tech companies, there is a very small percentage of Irish workers. Most people in Ireland work in the agriculture industry or as cashiers or retail assistants or in the mining industry. And obviously, salaries in all these fields are much lower than the salaries of tech companies. Ireland's current average annual salary is also inflated due to the tech industry workers coming to Ireland from abroad. Otherwise, if only the average annual salaries of Irish people are given, this total figure will be even lower. This means that there is a huge difference between statistics and ground reality. This is something that many countries suffer from. For example, India is the fifth largest economy in the world according to GDP, But if we look at GDP per capita, it is at number 14, which means that even though the Indian economy is growing very fast, if the income and standard of living of the people are not growing at this speed, then while the government of Ireland is pretending to the whole world that it is the richest country in the world, the income and standard of living of the people of Ireland are lower than many European countries, and that is why young Irish people want to go to other countries. Similarly, the second biggest problem in Ireland is housing. Canada and like Australia, Ireland is also going through a very high housing price. Ireland's housing policies are very bad, due to which it is not profitable for real estate developers to build there at all. The result is that the supply of houses in Ireland is much less than the demand, which has sent house prices skyrocketing. Due to the shortage of houses, the situation is so bad that people have long lines to see a house with only one rental in Dublin. Similarly, Ireland's healthcare system is also overcrowded because many Irish doctors go to other European countries for good salaries, and the remaining doctors are so loaded that patients have to stay on the waiting list for months. So, all in all, Ireland's entire success story is dependent on an artificially inflated GDP figure, and this GDP will also take a big hit in the future. It may happen when Ireland reverts to zero taxation policy, because no country can survive on low taxes for a long time. Even now, Gulf countries are also introducing taxes because they see that oil is going to be replaced by lime and sodium soon. If Ireland increases taxes, then this unique advantage will end, and then many foreign companies will go back to their home countries, and Ireland's economic dowry will be very badly exposed. Strengthening our domestic industries is very important for long term success. Relying only on immediate investment can improve economic figures, but there can be no development at the ground level. These are all the sources from here that we have consulted for this video. Take care of yourself with another interesting topic in the next video.